Well, hi everybody. We're on to our next project here. Got this Cat 259B3 here, and it needs some boring work. I've done a pair of these cylinders before. I don't remember if it was specifically this exact model, but this is one of Cat's really stupid ideas. They built cylinders with no bushings in the ends. They're induction hardened in the bore, as far as I can tell. The last one I had to heat the idea of the bore up with a torch for a while and let it cool to get it softened up enough to make it cuttable. But at any rate, just stupid ideas on the part of Caterpillar there. But then, it did have bushings in the end of the arm. This is all that's left of the bushing on this side, and the one on this side over here has been gone for so long. You can see the arm end is just beat right out. The attach plate itself is pretty bad. Now the customer brought it to me wanting just these done. I'm about ready to call them and just make sure they understand that it's pretty sloppy loose on that quick attach plate, and that, I mean, obviously it'll be way better than it was if I fix all of that, but this, it's got a good 1/16 of an inch of play in every hole in that thing, so I gotta call and see if they really understand that part of it. But at any rate, so I gotta show you guys my morning boo-boo already. I'm so ticked off. I had this thing, I should have had it a little higher. I was trying to set that onto these. I guessed at the height, and I was kind of on the edge of it, you know, with these sawhorses. I went to slide it up on there, and I lost it. Dumped it on the floor, and blew a big old ugly gouge out of my concrete. Got a few nicks and dings in here, but that's the first really ugly I've punched a hole in my concrete, so pretty PO'd about that, but I think I'm probably going to try and fill it with epoxy and just see if I can keep it where creepers will roll across it without getting stuck. Really frustrates me. Right out here in the area I work in all the time. But anyhow, so, well, let me show you where we're at with this. I didn't shoot a bunch of video because I've had visitors through here on and off all day while I was working on it, and I try not to just indiscriminately put people on camera. So got the tilt cylinders off, backing plate off, all of that jazz. So what I've done so far is I took these tilt cylinders, set them up here, wrapped wet rags around the rods, and then took my Rosebud and heated up the inside of these bores. They were just like the other ones. They were rock hard. And it softened them enough that they're cuttable with a file. They're tough, but they're cuttable. So same thing that happened with the other set that I did. So anyways, we're getting ready right now. Getting centered up on one on the boring mill. All right. So we're making progress. I've got both of these done. Got the bushings pressed in. Those came out very nice. Nice snug press fit. Nice fit on the pin. So now we're to this stage. I think we're going to do to this one. I don't love welding and boring in small holes, and this is a pretty beefy steel burnout on the ends of these. I think on this one we're going to bore and sleeve this back down. We'll make the sleeve permanent, where we'll machine it, press it in there, and then weld it into place. And I think that's going to be the best path forward for this thing. So that's what I'm setting up to do now, is bore it out, see what size it cleans up at, and then that'll decide what size sleeve it needs to come out right. So we'll get at it and see if we can get some of this done. So we got our first roughing pass through here. Got a few more to go, obviously, but I just got to adjust up the tension on these now. They're a little loose. Got to get snugged up, and then we're ready to go after it and cut like mad. Alright, we're cutting about 40 thousandths on a side right now. Actually, a couple more passes, we'll have this whole round, and then we'll see what we think of the size of it and decide if we want to go anymore or not. But I'm going to have to go put this camera on the charger. It's about dead, so we'll bring you back a little further along in the process. This is our first roughing pass on this side. Just about through there right now. Just broke through. So on this side, I cut it to just under 2 inches because the heavy wall that I want to use, this actually, I had this, a couple chunks of that, but I found this, it's closer to what I need. Anyways, I want to be able to clean up at using 2 inch. So anyways, I cut it to just under 2 inches, and you can see in the back side up in here, there's a little bit that didn't clean up, but it's got a huge burr kicked up on the outside, and by the time I grind that off flush, it's going to be almost full cleanup, and it won't matter because I'm going around and putting a heavy weld bead. I'm welding these sleeves in after I put them in there. So with that being the case, I'm planning to just carry on. My intention, by the way, is to set them up with the amount of press fit that I want on the ID. And on the OD, I'm going to set them up for a size fit or real close to it. Maybe just a very light fit. I'm primarily going to heavily bevel the edge of it and run a weld bead. That's really what's holding the sleeve in place. Just in case anybody was curious, this doesn't generally work real good on like excavators. Something about, they get a lot of twisting loads because of the it's a relatively short pin distance relative to the leverage they get subjected to. They have a nasty habit of wanting to coin out if you put sleeves like this in or walk them out of there. Skid steers are just a way lower load application, and they seem to hold up better. So just sharing that, because if this was an excavator I was working on, it'd be a lot more reluctant to sleeve it. But with it being skid steer, I trust this to be a good permanent fix. So. And we're putting heavy enough bushings in there that they ought to be able to or sleeves that they ought to be able to push bushings in and out in the future without any side effects from there. All right, we really got her hogging right now. We're cutting something close to 100 thou on a side, 80, 100, right in there. I didn't bother measuring, but you can see by the thickness of the chips rolling out of here that we're taking a pretty good cut. So anyways, this will be a good roughing pass, and then we'll see where we're at. I'm not shooting for any particular number. It's way easier to hit precise numbers doing the machining in the lathe than it is here. So that's why I'm doing this first, cutting them out. Like in a perfect world, I'd like to see that at about 1.95. Give myself 50 thou worth to clean up on the stock that I'm using. So that's kind of the target goal. But that one's a little bit bigger than that. I don't have a whole lot of cleanup on the stock, and that's just because that hole was worn so bad I was cutting it as far as I could trying to get the hole round. But this one, we're already on full cleanup, so I can stop wherever I want, just based on what I want for finish thickness. There she came through. Alright, we're on our finish pass through there, taking about 15 thou on a side right now. And then we will break this gear all down and go to making some sleeves to press in there. Got this all broke down. These are, shockingly, and this is no skill on my part, it's just pure dumb luck, within half a thousandths, as far as I can tell, being exactly the same size. So that never happens. You can see here, I've ground the face up, and you can see the little bit right there that didn't fill in, but I don't really care because I'm hoping to put a chamfer on the end of this that's at least that deep and get a good bead of weld around it. So anyways, we're over here now, and incidentally, I think I told you I was shooting for 1.950, and you can see 1.950. Once again, I literally am just like grabbing a tool and cutting it. It's a crazy fluke that it ended up that close. But anyhow, so here we are. We've taken our first skim cut on my material. Getting ready to cut ourselves out a sleeve to put in there. That I'm wanting to skim through the skin on the outside. This DOM can warp and change funny when you cut the skin off from it. So before I go boring the inside to finish dimension, I want to get just the outer skin cut off the outside. Because otherwise, if you go to finish dimension on either the inside or the outside and then do the opposite, you'll discover it warps and your wall thickness will change. So. Now we just got to put a chamfer on the other end for weld, and that one's ready to go in. 2 weld-in sleeves ready to rock and roll. So, I'm going to go press these in, or actually probably just drive them in. If I've got the fit that I'm shooting for, which is just about a thou interference, they should just smack in there. We're going to see. Get them stuffed in the holes, welded in, and then probably hit the inside of them with a hone. What I do is blast these off some brake parts cleaner so that there's not any oil in there boiling out into my weld when I'm trying to weld them. Then, I'm sure I've mentioned this before, but I'm going to repeat it because it might save somebody's life. I never use the chlorinated brake cleaner, only the flammable kind. If it says it's not flammable, get that stuff out of your shop. When it gets exposed to a flame or high heat, it converts, and I forget what toxic gas, and it can straight up kill you. So, I actually read an article, it's been a few years ago, about a guy that was prepping for weld, just like I am, sprayed something off with the chlorinated brake parts cleaner, and the fumes that came off from it, he experienced multiple organ failure, partial paralysis. He's never going to be the same again. Like, that guy is jacked up for life, on like dialysis. I mean, it was like, say, darn near killed him, and ultimately probably is going to kill him. It's just going to take a few years. It ain't going to happen this instant. So, alright. Well, we get a thumper and see what we can do to this thing. I normally never attempt to drive something like this dry, but the whole point of this is to weld it in so that precludes using any kind of lube on it because that's going to screw with the weld. I think we'll see how this one goes once. If it's going to fight me as bad as that one is, then I think we're going to switch gears and do this a little different. So I'm going to do something here that I should have done in that one, and that's at least amazing how much this will help. It's not really opening it up, it's just smooth enough. There's funny little high spots in there. Just doing that will make an enormous difference in something like this. I mean, if I'd have done that to the other one, I wouldn't be fighting it. But oh well. All right, I got to show you guys this. I just had a bad feeling about it, so I knocked her back out. Here's why I don't like putting stuff in dry. Just so happens that whatever this material is and whatever that material is got in a fight with each other and were galling up, and that's why she won't drive. So I can deal with this. I'm just going to have to buff this up, buff that. I mean, usually getting welded in, but still, just take this into account. This is why, if it's at all possible, I never put in a bushing dry. I put anti-seize on them. But anyways, it was just a little bit too rough, and it started, balling up a wad, and this is what you get. So I'm going to buff that out, buff this up a bit, and then we'll smack her in there. All right, well, buffed out the goobers, and it smacked right in there with the dead blow, nice, like this one did. So just say, lesson again that should learn long ago, but basically got everything super smooth, and like I say, if you at all humanly can, make sure you got anti-seize in them when you slam them together. So anyway, we're going to weld those in now, and then do a little measuring and see what we end up with for bore diameter after I weld them, see if I need to hone them out at all. got the bushings welded in, smacked in, welded in, ground up flush on the ends, and then I did some measuring, and it had shrank them a little bit. Not terrible. What I actually did, I don't have a rigid hone that goes in a hole this size, so I literally took a flap wheel and took that thing. It was a little too big to go in the hole, and intentionally buzzed it down on another piece of steel till it just fit in the hole, and then worked that back and forth in there, measuring as I was going. And it was mostly, it had shrunk it right at the outside edges and got it opened up. I left it with a heavier press fit than I normally would, just in case I had any out around going on, so it kind of conform itself to the hole as it drove in there, or the hole conform it to the bushing. But anyway, it came out nice and tight. No question at all on that. I drove them in, but it took, a good 4-pounder standing on it. And at this point, we've got, nice tight pin fit. This thing is ready to go back together, with the exception of, there's a crack right here. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but it runs from here about around to here. I'm going to grind that a minute and then stick weld that up. And then we're ready to go back together. Alright, I am getting hydraulic lines hooked up. Wiggles is over here putting the new grease fittings into the pins for me. And then he's going to be my forklift operator to help me set that in place. So we're going to get you guys set up and let you watch this process as it unfolds here. this stupid thing has battery in it. It's apparently no good. So it did this to me when it was sitting outside too. So 3 rounds of attempting to start it later, I finally got it to touch off. But the battery in this thing's just shot. They're gonna have to put a new one in. But of course, then I didn't have the camera running when it finally fired up, and I drove it out here. But there she is. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. This one has quite a bit of play in the quick attach. They're gonna hunt around and see if they can find an aftermarket one or a decent used one. It's possible they might end up bringing it back and having me do that, but they're gonna go try it, see what they think of it now with you know, like 1/2 inch per hole less slap in it. See how that suits their fancy. But anyway, so there you have it. If you guys got any of these 259Bs, or I think even some of the other sizes in this generation have that nonsense with the rod ends, because the last set that I did for a cat, I don't think I ever knew what model they were for, but they were bigger than this. So obviously bigger skid steers have got that going on too. So anyways, we're gonna call it a night. You guys have a good one. We'll catch you on the next video.